8 years after walking away from sets and scripts, Meghan Markle just slipped back into Hollywood, not with a thunderclap, but with a whisper sharp enough to slice the internet in half. The Duchess is reportedly making her return in Close Personal Friends, a feature directed by Jason Orley, with a cast stacked like an awards night seating chart. Lily Collins, Brie Larson, Jack Quaid, Henry Golding, and Meghan. She's not playing a character. She's playing herself. It's the most Meghan move imaginable. A re-entry that is both low-key and high-impact. Sources say she was on set November 5, calm and glowing, introducing herself to crew with the kind of grounded warmth that made people do a double take that Meghan, back on a film set in an Amazon MGM Studios production. After years of monarchy, memoir, and media wildfire, she's choosing the quiet door back into show business. The premise is deliciously meta. Two lovers on a trip to Santa Barbara, the very place Meghan and Prince Harry now call home, cross paths with a celebrity couple. It's fiction laced with reality. A cinematic wink that says, I know exactly where I am in your story, and I'm going to write my own line. Industry chatter calls it a toe-in-the-water role small part. Giant signal. Filming started in London in September, then crossed the Atlantic to California. The target, a 2027 release. In other words, this isn't a moment, it's a runway. For Meghan, who once wore Rachel Zane's pencil skirt on Suits and called that era a time capsule. This is not a nostalgia play. It's a calibration. She's not chasing the crown, the charts, or even the spotlight. She's reclaiming an old muscle performance on her terms, in her zip code, with a story that blurs the line between the woman and the myth. So what does it all mean? Is this a cameo or a comeback? A cameo that becomes a comeback. And why choose this film, this role, this moment, when a single on-set sighting can detonate a news cycle? Tonight, we break down the strategy, the symbolism, and the stakes of Meghan Markle's most unexpected plot twist yet. Before she became a duchess, she was an actress. Before she stood on palace balconies, she stood under studio lights. And before her life became a global debate, she was simply Meghan Markle, a working performer hustling through Hollywood. For 7 seasons, Meghan played Rachel Zane on the hit legal drama Suits. It was the show that made her famous and, in a way, the one she could never escape. She once said that keeping the pencil skirt from the very first episode felt like holding on to a time capsule. It wasn't just wardrobe. It was memory, a snapshot of a life before royal titles and relentless scrutiny. Then came 2018, the wedding that stopped the world. An American actress married into British royalty, and suddenly Meghan Markle was no longer an actress. She was the Duchess of Sussex. A symbol, a target, and for many, a mirror reflecting everything they wanted to love or hate about modern monarchy. By 2020, the fairy tale fractured. She and Prince Harry stepped back from royal duties, traded palaces for a home in Santa Barbara, and tried to carve out something few in their position ever find peace. They launched the Arkwell Foundation, produced documentaries for Netflix, and began speaking on mental health, motherhood, and media intrusion. But behind the activism and interviews, something else was stirring, a quiet longing for the life she'd left behind. Sources close to Meghan say she never stopped loving acting. She missed the creativity, the collaboration, the way a film set felt like family. For years, offers poured in scripts, cameos, guest appearances, but she turned them down. The timing wasn't right. The narrative around her was too loud, until now. In 2025, she found a story that felt safe, personal, self-aware, a film called Close Personal Friends, part comedy, part reflection, shot in the very place she now calls home. And perhaps for the first time in years, the spotlight didn't feel like a weapon. It felt like a stage again. When news broke that Meghan Markle would be returning to acting, the internet didn't celebrate quietly. It exploded. Some called it poetic, others called it calculated, and a few, especially her critics across the pond, called it proof that she never really left the stage. Because here's the twist. In close personal friends, Meghan isn't playing a queen, a lawyer, or a fictionalized icon. She's playing herself. That choice alone turned the project from a film into a flashpoint. For Meghan's fans, it's a moment of full circle empowerment, an actress reclaiming her narrative on her own terms. But for her detractors, it's another chapter in a story they never stopped writing for her. The timing couldn't be more symbolic. After years of documentaries, interviews, and tabloid warfare, Meghan's image has become one of the most polarizing in modern pop culture. To return now, not in a royal documentary or a podcast, but on a Hollywood set, feels like a quiet act of defiance. Industry insiders call it a soft reboot. Not a massive leading role, but a small part with massive meaning. A chance to dip her toe back into the creative world, test the water, and remind audiences that before she was a duchess, she was a storyteller. Still, the risks are high. Every detail from her costume to her dialogue will be dissected. Even the film's premise about a couple meeting a celebrity pair in Santa Barbara, her real-life home with Prince Harry, blurs fiction and truth in ways that could easily feed tabloids for months. And yet, that's precisely what makes this move brilliant. Meghan is not hiding from her reality, she's using it by playing herself. She takes control of the narrative that's defined her for nearly a decade. For once, she gets to choose which version of Meghan Markle the world sees. The role isn't about fame, it's about freedom. It's about turning the story, her story, into art. When Meghan Markle walked onto that set in early November, the whispers traveled faster than the cameras could roll. The Duchess of Sussex back in Hollywood, crew members described her as calm, kind, and effortlessly professional. She greeted everyone by name, cracked quiet jokes between takes, and seemed comfortable, not royal, not restrained. Just Meghan, the actress, rediscovering her rhythm. Within hours, the news broke. Social media timelines turned into digital battlegrounds. Hashtags like Meghan Returns and Hollywood Duchess began trending worldwide. Fans flooded X and Instagram with posts celebrating her courage. She's finally doing what makes her happy. One fan wrote, "This is the Meghan we missed." But not everyone was cheering. Across British tabloids, headlines swung between fascination and fury. Meghan Markle's Hollywood play a royal PR move. From Duchess to director's darling, what's next for Meghan? Hollywood insiders, however, saw something deeper. She's not chasing a comeback. One producer told Variety she's testing the water on her own terms. That's rare power. Even her former Suits co-stars reportedly reached out with messages of pride. After all, Meghan had carried that show for years, long before royal photographers followed her every step. This return, even for a small role, felt like poetic symmetry. And then there's Prince Harry. According to sources close to the couple, he's fully supportive, even visiting the set quietly in Santa Barbara. Harry just wants her to be happy. One friend shared, he knows acting was her first love. The contrast between then and now couldn't be sharper. Once forced to follow royal protocol, now she moves through a creative space that answers only to imagination. Once scripted by tabloids, now she's rewriting her own scenes literally. For Hollywood, it's not just another casting announcement. It's a statement that a woman can leave the palace, survive the headlines, and still step into the light not as a symbol, but as an artist. And this time, she's not seeking permission. She's taking her place. For years, the world has watched Meghan Markle through the wrong lens as a duchess. A controversy, a headline. But now, she's asking to be seen through a different one, a camera, the kind that doesn't chase her, but listens to her. Her small role in Close Personal Friends may seem like a simple cameo, but for Meghan, it's symbolic. A quiet revolution in a career that was once swallowed whole by royalty. After 8 years away, she's stepping back into a space where she doesn't need permission to speak, to act, to exist. It's not about reclaiming fame, it's about reclaiming herself. Behind the camera, she's no longer the woman running from tabloids or defending her name. She's the woman who learned to turn noise into narrative and then make that narrative her own art. In Hollywood, every comeback tells two stories, the one on screen and the one behind it. For Meghan, both are happening at once. The film may be fiction, but her performance playing herself might be the most honest role of her life. And somewhere in Santa Barbara, under the same California sun where she and Prince Harry built their new beginning, the cameras rolled. Not to capture a scandal or a royal statement, but something far simpler, a woman rediscovering her joy. It's the full circle moment no one expected, and maybe the one she needed all along. Because for Meghan Markle, the greatest comeback isn't about applause. It's about peace,